The captain screamed as his bones broke. He had lost. The alien tortured him, and Captain James Hunter wondered how humans could possibly survive. The UES Prometheus had gone too far. They explored places no human had been. Now Hunter and his crew were beaten, captives of the advanced Zorfs who had easily caught their ship. "You dare defy me?" growled Admiral Zolax as Hunter's blood dripped to the floor. "Surrender or die." Hunter spat. "Never! We won't submit!" "Then you will suffer until you break." The Admiral's claws clicked. "Or until you are dead." Hunter had to escape and warn Earth. If he didn't, humanity was doomed. The Zorfs would conquer and enslave them all. His crew depended on him. Billions on Earth depended on him. It seemed hopeless. The Zorfs were too strong, too advanced. Getting free and saving humanity seemed impossible. But Hunter was human, and he would find a way to do the impossible, or die trying. Hunter gritted his teeth as Admiral Zolax's scaly hand gripped his shoulder. The Zorf's claws dug into his skin, drawing more blood. Hunter could barely breathe through the pain of his broken ribs. "Perhaps you do not understand your situation, human," Zolax hissed. His reptilian eyes narrowed. "Look." The Admiral tapped a button. A holographic screen flickered to life, displaying the Prometheus. Hunter's ship hung in space, battered but intact, surrounded by dozens of Zorf warships. Each enemy vessel bristled with futuristic weaponry. "A single blast from our fusion cannons will vaporize your pathetic craft," Zolax said. "Your shields cannot withstand even one direct hit. If you do not negotiate, I will give the order to open fire. Your crew will die screaming as the Void claims them." Hunter's stomach clenched. He pictured the men and women under his command, Jenkins, Martinez, Patel, Kimura, all of them obliterated in an instant. He couldn't let that happen. "Wait," the word tasted like bile on Hunter's tongue. "I'll negotiate." Zolax's lipless mouth stretched into a cruel smile. A wise choice. The Admiral dragged Hunter through dim corridors to a large chamber. A massive viewport showed the stars, cold and merciless. Zolax shoved Hunter into a chair at a long table. "The Zorf Empire spans 100 star systems," Zolax said. "Over a dozen species serve us. They submitted to our rule, and in return we allowed them to live as our subjects. We are destined to command the galaxy." "You mean you conquered them?" Hunter spat. "Enslaved them?" "We raised them up." Zolax slammed a fist on the table. "Primitive civilizations, unfit to govern themselves. We brought them order, purpose, and now we offer humanity the same. Surrender your homeworld to us. Bow before the master species. If you obey, your kind will be spared." Hunter couldn't believe what he was hearing. The arrogance, the cruelty. Humanity would never grovel before alien tyrants. He wouldn't let his people suffer under the Zorf's yoke, not while he still had breath in his lungs. "No," Hunter growled. "Earth will never surrender. Humanity will never submit. We'll fight you with everything we've got. We'll die before we become your slaves. This negotiation is over." Zolax's eyes flashed with rage. The Admiral lunged across the table, clawed hands outstretched. Hunter tried to scramble away, but his injuries slowed him. Zolax grabbed him by the throat. "Then you have sealed your fate, human," Zolax snarled. "If humanity will not submit, then humanity will burn. This galaxy belongs to the Zorf. It is our birthright, and rebellious slaves must be punished." The Admiral's grip tightened. Hunter choked and gasped. His vision swam. He thrashed weakly in Zolax's grasp. It seemed hopeless. The Zorfs were too strong. Earth didn't stand a chance. But Hunter wouldn't stop fighting. He would never stop, not until his last breath. He was human, and against impossible odds, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, he would find a way. Somehow. Back on Earth, the mood in the United Earth Council chamber was grim. The holographic projector in the center of the room displayed the latest intelligence report, detailing the Zorf threat. Admiral Zolax's face leered at the council members, his words echoing in their minds. "Surrender or die." General Marcus Stone stood at the podium. his weathered face etched with determination. He had seen countless battles, but never one like this. Never against an enemy so powerful, so ruthless. "We must prepare for war," he said, his voice steady. "The Zorfs have made their intentions clear. They will not stop until Earth is under their boot. We cannot allow that to happen." Murmurs rippled through the council. Some nodded in agreement, their faces hard. Others looked uncertain, even frightened. Councillor Hassan spoke up, his voice shaking. "General, with all due respect, you've seen the reports. The Zorfs have technology far beyond ours. Their ships, their weapons. How can we hope to stand against them?" Stone fixed him with a steely gaze. "By fighting with everything we have, by never giving up no matter the odds. Earth has faced impossible challenges before. We've always found a way to overcome them. This time will be no different." President Amanda Sinclair watched the exchange from her seat at the head of the table. Her heart was heavy with the weight of the decision before her. She had always sought peace, always believed that diplomacy could solve any conflict. But this, how could they negotiate with an enemy that only desired their subjugation? She thought of her people, the billions of lives depending on her. She thought of Captain Hunter and his crew bravely defying the Zorfs even in the face of overwhelming odds. Could she do any less? Sinclair rose to her feet. The council fell silent, every eye turning to her. "General Stone is right," she said, her voice clear and strong. "We cannot surrender, we cannot bow to tyranny. If the Zorfs want to fight, then that is what we will give them." She turned to the general. "Mobilize our forces, ready our defenses. We will stand united against this threat. Earth will never submit." Stone nodded, respect in his eyes. "Yes, Madam President." He turned back to the council. "I want every factory retooled for war production. Every shipyard building warships around the clock. We need more fighters, more tanks, more artillery. We must be ready for the Zorfs when they come." The council erupted into action, voices rising as they debated logistics and strategies. Sinclair watched them, a sense of purpose settling over her. The road ahead would be hard, the cost would be high, but they would bear it for the sake of all they held dear. Earth would fight, and somehow, some way they would find a way to win. Hunter gritted his teeth, his mind racing as he hung limply in Admiral Zolax's grasp. The Zorf's claws dug into his neck, drawing blood. His vision swam, the edges darkening, but he refused to give in. He refused to let humanity fall. With a burst of desperate strength, Hunter twisted in Zolax's grip. He slammed his elbow into the Admiral's jaw. Zolax grunted in surprise, his hold loosening for a split second. It was all Hunter needed. He wrenched himself free, staggering back from the table. His broken ribs screamed in protest, but he ignored the pain. He had to act fast. "Lieutenant Novak," he barked into his comm. "Gather a strike team. I have a mission for you." "Hi, Captain," Novak's voice crackled in his ear. "What are your orders?" Hunter's gaze locked with Zolax's. The Admiral's eyes burned with rage, his clawed hands flexing. Hunter knew he had only moments before the Zorf attacked again. "Oh, we can't beat them in a straight fight," Hunter said. His words rushed. "Their tech is too advanced. We need intel, weaknesses, vulnerabilities." He took a breath, his plan crystallizing in his mind. It was a long shot, but it was their only chance. Infiltrate the Zorf ship. Gather everything you can on their weapons, their tactics. Find something we can use against them. "Understood, Captain," Novak said. "We'll get it done." Hunter nodded, even though Novak couldn't see him. "Good, and Lieutenant, be careful." He cut the comm and faced Zolax, his jaw set. The Admiral had recovered from his surprise, his reptilian features twisted in anger. "Oh, you dare strike me, human," Zolax hissed. "You will pay for your insolence." Hunter smiled grimly. "Do your worst, you scaly bastard. We humans don't break easily." Zolax roared and lunged at him, claws outstretched. Hunter braced himself for the impact. He just hoped he had bought Novak enough time. Lieutenant Novak moved silently through the dimly lit corridors of the Zorf ship, his heart pounding in his ears. His team fanned out behind him, their weapons at the ready. They had managed to board the alien vessel undetected, slipping in through a maintenance airlock. But stealth would only get them so far. Novak held up a fist, signaling his team to halt. He peered around a corner, his eyes straining in the gloom. The passageway ahead was clear. He motioned for his team to move forward. They crept down the corridor, hugging the walls. The ship thrummed around them, alien machinery humming and pulsing. Novak's skin crawled. He felt like an intruder, an outsider in a place he didn't belong. A sudden sound made him freeze, footsteps coming from up ahead. He signaled his team to take cover. They ducked into alcoves and doorways, melting into the shadows. A group of Zorf soldiers marched past, their scaly faces grim. They carried strange, angular weapons like nothing Novak had ever seen. His gut clenched. The Zorf's technology was beyond anything Earth had. How could they hope to fight against that? The soldiers passed by unaware of the humans hiding just feet away. Novak let out a slow breath. That had been too close. He was about to signal his team to move out, when an alarm blared through the ship. The Zorf's guttural language echoed over the intercom, harsh and alien. "Intruder alert," a robotic voice translated. "Human boarding party detected. All security forces converge on Sector 7. Novak cursed under his breath. They had been discovered. So much for stealth. He turned to his team, his expression grim. "We've been made. Prepare for contact." No sooner had he spoken than a group of Zorf soldiers rounded the corner, their weapons raised. They spotted the humans immediately and opened fire. Novak dove for cover as searing beams of energy scorched the air where he had been standing a moment before. His team returned fire, the narrow corridor erupting into a fierce firefight. Novak popped up from behind a bulkhead, squeezing off a burst from his rifle. A Zorf soldier fell, green blood spraying from a wound in his chest, but more took his place, their weapons spitting deadly light. "Fall back!" Novak shouted over the din of battle. "We need to find better cover." His team began to retreat, firing as they went. The Zorfs pursued, their numbers growing as reinforcements poured in from adjacent corridors. Novak's heart raced as he ran, the heat of enemy fire sizzling past his face. This wasn't going well. They were outnumbered and outgunned. If they didn't find a way to turn the tables soon. Suddenly he spotted something out of the corner of his eye. A power conduit, running along the wall of the corridor. An idea sparked in his mind. "Reeves," he called to one of his men, "toss me a grenade." Reeves lobbed him the explosive without question. Novak caught it, primed it, and hurled it at the power conduit. The grenade detonated with a deafening boom. The conduit ruptured, spraying sparks and flames. The lights in the corridor flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. The Zorfs, caught off guard by the sudden blackout, hesitated in their pursuit. Novak seized the opportunity. "Now," he yelled, "hit them hard." His team surged forward, firing blindly into the gloom. The Zorfs, their vision no better in the dark than the humans, fell back in confusion. Novak and his men pressed their advantage, driving the Zorfs back. They fought with desperate fury, knowing that their lives and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. As they battled through the darkened ship, Novak spotted something that made his heart skip a beat. A Zorf soldier wielding a strange, glowing device. The alien aimed it at a bulkhead and fired. A beam of pulsing energy lanced out, slicing through the metal like a knife through butter. Novak's eyes widened. That weapon. It could change everything if they could capture it, study it, find a way to replicate its technology. He signaled to his team, pointing at the Zorf with the device. They nodded, understanding his intent. Together they charged forward, focusing their fire on the alien soldier. The Zorf fell, the device clattering to the deck. Novak scooped it up, turning it over in his hands. It thrummed with power, alien script scrolling across its surface. He grinned, a fierce, triumphant smile. They had done it. They had found a weakness in the Zorf's technology, a way to even the odds. Now they just had to make it back to the Prometheus in one piece. And hope that Captain Hunter could hold out against Admiral Zolax, long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Captain Hunter studied the data Lieutenant Novak had brought back from his daring mission. The weakness in the Zorf ship design was clear. A small, unshielded exhaust port leading directly to the main reactor core. A well-placed shot could trigger a chain reaction, crippling the entire vessel. Hunter's mind raced. If they could exploit this vulnerability, they might have a chance. He called up a holographic display of the Zorf fleet, analyzing their formation. The alien ships were gathered around a massive space station, a sprawling construct of metal and pulsing energy. It had to be their main base. If they could take it out... Hunter turned to his crew, his eyes blazing with determination. "Listen up, I have a plan." He outlined his strategy, his words clipped and urgent. They would launch a surprise attack on the Zorf base. The Prometheus would lead the charge, drawing the enemy's fire. Meanwhile, a strike team led by Lieutenant Novak would infiltrate the station and sabotage its power core. It was a desperate gambit. The odds were stacked against them, but it was their only chance. Hunter's crew nodded grimly, their faces set with resolve. They knew the stakes, they knew what they had to do. Word of the plan spread quickly through the hastily assembled Earth fleet. Ships from every corner of the planet had answered the call, rallying to humanity's defense. They were a ragtag bunch, a mix of military vessels and civilian craft pressed into service. But they were united in their determination to fight for their freedom. As the fleet approached the Zorf base, Hunter felt a sense of calm settle over him. This was it, the moment of truth. He gripped the controls of the Prometheus, his knuckles white. "All ships, engage!" The Earth fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. The Zorfs responded in kind, their ships moving to intercept. The void lit up with the flare of energy beams and the bloom of explosions. Hunter threw the Prometheus into the heart of the enemy formation, weaving through the fire. The ship shuddered as Zorf blasts pounded its shields. Alarms blared, warning of imminent structural failure. But Hunter didn't falter. He pushed the ship harder, drawing more and more of the Zorf's fire. His crew worked frantically, rerouting power and patching damaged systems. On the Zorf base, Lieutenant Novak and his team fought their way through the alien defenses. They blasted through bulkheads and battled Zorf soldiers in close quarters, all the while racing against time. They reached the power core, a pulsing mass of energy contained within a shimmering force field. Novak pulled out the device they had captured, the one that could slice through Zorf metal like butter. He took aim at the force field generator and fired. The beam lanced out, piercing the generator's casing. The force field flickered and died. Novak and his team opened fire on the exposed power core. Explosions ripped through the chamber, setting off a chain reaction that tore through the station. On the Prometheus, Hunter saw the Zorf base erupt in a blinding flash. The alien ships around him faltered, their systems going haywire as the power core's destruction sent shockwaves through their fleet. "All ships, press the attack," Hunter shouted over the comm. "They're vulnerable." The Earth fleet surged forward, renewed determination in every heart. They pounded the Zorf ships with everything they had, blasting through their weakened shields and crippled hulls. The Zorfs, reeling from the unexpected assault, began to break formation. Some tried to flee while others fought back desperately. But it was too late. The tide had turned. Hunter watched in grim satisfaction as the last Zorf ship exploded, consumed by a roiling fireball. The Earth fleet, battered but victorious, regrouped around the shattered remains of the alien base. They had won. Against all odds, they had struck a blow against the Zorfs. They had bought Earth precious time. But Hunter knew this was only the beginning. The Zorfs would regroup, would come at them again with renewed fury, and Earth had to be ready. He looked out at the stars, at the glittering points of light that represented the worlds under Zorf rule, worlds that were counting on humanity to save them. He clenched his fist, his jaw set with determination. They had struck the first blow, and no matter what it took, no matter the cost, humanity would not rest until the galaxy was free from Zorf tyranny. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support me, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And for every comment that says, "I liked the story," I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.